Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video.
Hello, fellow 8-bit heroes. Today we're going to talk about The Last of Us Episode 4, entitled, Please Hold to My Hand. Okay, so if you thought last week's episode was pushy, heavy-handed, and in some parts nonsensical, Episode 4 got something for you. Let's get into it. So the episode opens with Ellie basically doing her best taxi driver impression. I was really surprised that she didn't look at her reflection and say, "You talking to me?" Because that seemed like that was what was next. What with her playing with this gun, and just a gun that she wasn't supposed to have, according to Joel. So how does this end up? Well, she and Joel are at a gas station and they talk about siphoning gas, and then we get the second of the biggest digs at Joel. This happens in the first episode with his daughter Sarah, but just kind of continues with Ellie. I guess to draw a parallel between them, both of which are basically trying to say that Joel is dumb for not knowing things, even though he's the entire reason that either one of them were alive in the first place, especially in the situation with Ellie. But like I say, it's modern television, so the dad figure can never be too intelligent or too capable or what have you. But we'll get into that later. So then Joel explains to her why gas is degraded over the last 20 years and that it's basically water. So they have to continually siphon gas through their trip, which they're going to see Tommy. And so we get a scene after this. It's interesting where Ellie finds this joke book. Or I guess she took this joke book from Bill and Frank's place. And it's just full of these really corny jokes. And it's a way that they're trying to make Bella Ramsey's Ellie more endearing to the audience. But honestly, it doesn't work a lot. Mostly, I don't really want to fault Bella Ramsey herself for this. I mean, yes, she doesn't really look the part of Ellie, but the writing definitely doesn't help because they definitely emphasize her negative traits or the negative traits of the Ellie character without emphasizing the traits that make the player character in the game empathize with her, sympathize with her, and want to protect her. That's not really here in this iteration of the character. She mostly comes off as a pretentious, whiny brat who thinks she knows more than she does, and I didn't really get the sense of that from the Ellie from the game, but I digress. So, what we have here is a scene from the game which makes no sense in context. And what that is that in the game, after leaving Bill, who is alive when you leave him, by the way, Ellie finds a magazine, an adult magazine, full of homosexual adult content, which basically is supposed to inform the player that Bill was in fact gay, just in case the player wasn't picking up on the not so subtle hints in the gameplay. Well, this is completely unnecessary in this context because we know Bill is gay, because Joel knew Bill was gay, because everybody knows that Bill is gay in this series. You know that Bill is gay because they told you 11 times in the last episode. So this whole scene of her finding the porno mag doesn't really make any logical sense. But yet they follow through with the scene anyway, and basically it's just foolish. They couldn't follow through with the idea that Ellie knows how to drive, which is in the game, but they could follow through with this, but whatever. All right, so then we go to basically a campment, and Ellie and Joel continue talking, and she continues trying to hit him with these corny jokes that are falling flat. And we also find out that Joel has a lot of problems falling asleep, especially in places where he feels like he is unprotected and unguarded, which makes perfect sense. That's probably why he's still alive. So then they get back on the road, and they find themselves upon a QZ. Now, this is weird because this is another big departure from the game. So as we know in the game, they don't fall upon a QZ, but rather a band of starving bandits who are luring people into a trap by basically feigning that they are in fact injured of some sort and that they need help. Well, in this iteration, oh God, this is now a QZ, and the same situation happens, but it lacks any of the context to make it believable. What do I mean? Well, in this particular situation, the whole bandit thing happens. They find themselves upon a person that is pretending that they're injured. Joel, of course, says that's not somebody in trouble, floors it. Their car is disabled, and then they get into a shootout with these bandits, in which, for some reason, some rando who's like a third of Joel's size decides that he's gonna get the drop on Joel, and Joel is in a precarious position where he's basically about to, buy the farm as it is, and Ellie saves his life with the gun that she wasn't supposed to have, because people can just sneak up on this version of Joel, and he doesn't have the hearing of basically a bat, but we'll get into that later. Now, this leads Joel to find out about the gun. Ellie shoots the guy. He's now paralyzed. He can't move his legs, and he's calling for his mom, begging for his life. Joel, of course, sends Ellie into the other room, takes the knife that the gentleman offers them as some sort of peace offering after he can't move anymore, even though, like, one scene before, he was literally about to kill Joel, and Joel, I guess, stabs him to death. It happens off screen, so you don't see what happens. Now, here we go. Now, this is where this episode, which was tolerable up to this point, takes a complete left turn. So remember I said that this episode, or at least the events of the bandits, don't really make sense in context. Well, here's the context. So enter Kathleen. Kathleen, the girl boss, who we will lovingly refer to from this point on as Apocalypse Karen, is the leader of a resistance group who has overthrown Fedra in this particular area. Now, why she's in charge? Don't know. Why anybody's listening to her? Definitely don't know. Because she is an idiot. Now, why do I say she's an idiot? Well, she has a gun on an older gentleman, and she's interrogating him, trying to find out if he gave up her brother to Fedra prior to them basically taking over from Fedra. Now, the gentleman says that he didn't tell on anybody, then reveals the fact that he was actually the physician that delivered her when she was born. But that doesn't matter to Apocalypse Karen. So, as she's still interrogating him and going back and forth with nonsense, she's interrupted by the news that two of her guys have been killed, unknown to her, by Joel and Ellie. Now, what does she conclude? Well, she blames it all on Henry. And if you played the game, you know who Henry and Sam are. Henry and Sam are two very great, very lovable characters. One is a young adult named Henry, who's the older brother, and the other is Sam. And she is apparently looking for them and blaming them for everything that's happened, including the death of these two gentlemen, saying that they must have been killed by reinforcements brought by Henry. Again, a kid. But not the point. She then issues a manhunt for Henry and the collaborators, whoever they may be, with Henry, who, unbeknownst to her, are Joel and Ellie. But that nothing can wait, because she has to satisfy her bloodlust by killing probably one of the only doctors, if not the only doctor, in her community. Because, again, Apocalypse Karen is an idiot. Now, we then get to go back to Joel and Ellie, who are basically scouting out the area, trying to stay one step ahead of this search party that's looking for them. And they notice that these guys are going door to door, so it's not really that difficult for them to stay ahead of them. Then we get back to Apocalypse Karen and her lieutenant, who for whatever reason is a capable individual who is following this, what looks to be 5'6", 5'7" Karen. And she and he both stumble upon what looks to be some sort of nest. Whether there's a large infected under the ground or just a nest of infected, we're not really sure. But what we are sure of is, again, Apocalypse Karen is an idiot. So rather than heed the advice of her lieutenant, who basically says, hey, we need to inform everybody, she says, no, it'll be fine. We'll just cordon off the area and nothing bad will happen. So, after this, we get back with Joel and Ellie, who are basically having banter back and forth about Ellie's past experiences with possibly hurting somebody with or without a firearm. We're not really sure. And Joel explains to her that he knew that the trap was in fact a trap because he had been on the other side of that altercation, of that encounter, being that he and Tess were once bandits themselves. So they talk about it, and they pretty much reach a safe area. And and by the way, I missed a part. Joel, I guess, teaches Ellie how to hold and handle a gun so it doesn't get immediately taken from her small framed body. Now, once they find a safe area, Joel decides that he's going to break some glass and put it all, strew it all around the floor, creating a perimeter so he'll be able to wake up. And then what's mentioned, which is insanity to me, is that Ellie mentions that Joel is apparently hard of hearing on his right side, which is just strange because, again, one of Joel's abilities in the Last of Us game is his ability to hear and detect clickers and infected. And he's honed this skill over, I guess, the 20 years of the infection, and that's why he's so good at locating and killing these particular monsters. So, again, we break canon just to, I guess, move the plot along. And what's crazy is that he then, we see a scene of Joel sleeping. He awakens to Ellie soft whispering his name. You can see that he is in fact sleeping on his left side, which means that his right ear is the one that's exposed and was the reason why he can't hear. And they have basically been ambushed again, but this time by Henry and Sam. So this episode really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially given the context. I mean, we have the context of these survivors needing to be bandits, even though they're in a QZ and they're fully stocked. And what I'm seeing here is that I think Craig Mazin and Neil Druckman are running up against a problem where they're trying to incorporate scenes from the game, but they're also trying to make changes, and these changes are basically running headlong against the scenes in the game that they're trying to shot for shot recreate. And we also see that the original Last of Us was definitely a collaborative effort, because we see what happens when Neil Druckman is in charge and left to his own devices. Without the guiding hands of Bruce Straley and Amy Hennig, this story is obviously going off the rails quick. I'm actually, before I was kind of upset that Bruce Straley's name was completely removed from the credits of this particular production, but now it might be a godsend because this series is starting to descend into nonsense. And I'm really interested to see where this will go because, spoilers, there's going to be a lot of changes made to Henry and Sam's characters. And, being that they've already kind of done them wrong already, just by Apocalypse Karen's presence, I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode takes it even further to the left. But you guys let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Let me know if you really liked it, if you thought it was just okay, or if you thought like me that it was kind of stupid and didn't really make any sense. Sound off in the comment section below. We'll see you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace.
If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.